Hey, it's Imran from Web Squadron. We're here to help you and your clients and your business get the most out of web design, marketing, branding using Elementor, which is the best page builder in the world. Hey, if you're listening on podcast, keep those ears open. And if you're watching on YouTube, great to have you. We're talking about web agencies and freelancing. Now, freelancing is quite well understood, I think, whether you're a journalist, a writer, a web designer, a window cleaner, a restaurant, or a car salesman, okay? Freelancing gives you a bit of a luxury where you can work on and off and work on your terms sometimes, where you're not tied into a business where they kind of tell you what you got to do. Unless, of course, you're a freelancer employed by a business, but that's a totally different avenue. But you can use it to your advantage. The disadvantage of freelancing, though, is that if you haven't got someone supplying you with leads and constant work, you're going to hit what we call the feast or famine stages, whereby you get loads of work, and then suddenly it dries up for a week or two, and you're sat there biting your fingernails. Don't worry about that. Things always do eventually pick up if you're really good at what you do. Now, like I said, with freelancing, there are luxuries, and there is freedom, and you can pick things up on and off as you want. You can even say no to work as well at the same time. You could even avoid certain types of work and only do what you're comfortable with that fits within your remit, where you're not going to lose sleep or get stressed out over something. With freelancing, you can even, up your prices, drop your prices, negotiate offers, sales, whatever you want to do. There is a lot of flexibility. And when it comes to web design, when we mention freelancing, people do sometimes think of Fiverr, Upwork, and other outlets out there. That's absolutely fine. It's a good way to go and find work and build up your reputation, your reviews, and basically who you are and your brand. Now, when we move on to web design agency, often there might be a few people that are running the business, and they might not know a thing about web design. They might not even design websites, but what they'll do is they will offload that work to freelancers who are employed by them whenever they want to do the work. They might do the wireframing, the design of the website, the SEO, the performance, the works, all of that stuff. And the web design agency actually does not have any sight of that, or doesn't get dirty with the designing of the website, and all they do is project manage. Now, we run a web design agency, but we get dirty. We rarely ever use freelancers. In fact, the only time I will contract with one is if I need a special type of code written and I can't do it myself, or I need a special feature building and it's going to take some extreme coding and design work to do it. Otherwise, 99% of all the work we do is going to be done by us. So we're a web design agency, but we like to not just only project manage, but we like to know what we're doing and how we do it. Because at the end of the day, we've built up a trust relationship with our client. And I don't know about you, but if I say to a client, we're going to do X, Y, Z, and then I hand it over to a freelancer who's going to pick up the work and they don't deliver, it's kind of on my head now to kind of sort that out. Now, don't get me wrong. Web design agencies that work in this kind of way, whereby you'll have some people at the top that filter the work out, that is okay. There is nothing wrong with that. As long as you know that the freelancers you're working with are reliable, they'll be there, and they won't kind of disappear on you when you go, hold on, this isn't what we agreed the website should look like, or there's a problem with the functionality or the page performance, or something just is not right. You've got to have a really good trust level. And of course, from a freelancer point of view, if the owner of the web design agency looks after them, pays them well, doesn't bombard them with work, and understands when there are limitations or when they have to problem solve how to sort something out, if they work well together, it can work really, really well. And the whole web design agency and freelancer model, you see it up and down in businesses everywhere. In hospitals, in doctors' surgeries, in car salesman centers and whatever. You're going to have someone who's at the top, and they've probably employed like a salesman. They'll be employed, but they'll be like a freelancer almost in a way. You can have like an editorial, a newspaper, who's contracted with a journalist, who's probably a freelancer, who's a specialist in certain types of writing or creative work or whatever. And that's how the web design agencies work, in that someone has to count the pennies, get the leads, generate income, Make sure things are tickety-boo and running absolutely fine, but then you're going to have the workers. Now, if I was advising someone on starting a business, I would always say that going down the freelance route before you decide to become your own agency is not a bad idea, because you've got to understand, have you got the skills to satisfy expectations, to deliver, to handle clients, difficult ones, irritated ones, money not being paid on time, differing types of workload, massive workload, and just specifications that make no sense at all? Can you handle all that? Can you deal with the stress? Once you're able to do that on your own or working alongside someone, maybe then you can start to scale up and become a web design agency. And then you might start to employ or work with other freelancers that you can employ on and off or whenever you want or on full-time basis to help carry the workload. But if you're able to understand website design, you can have much more meaningful conversations with your freelancers. And what I mean by that is that, let's say you were running a hospital, okay? You got a manager, and the manager is going to manage all the doctors. Now, if that manager has no insight into medical practices, there is only so much business management can get you. That sounds really, really harsh, but I'm telling you from experience, there's only so much you can do. You got to have some sort of health insight. You don't have to be a doctor, but you got to know the health industry and how things work before you start telling them, well, this is how we need to approach it and this is what we need to do. But at the same time, there's got to be a give and take. And sometimes if you don't understand the market you're leading on, you might have to get advice from the freelancers or the people you employ. And they might turn around and say, what you think we should do isn't how we should do it. Instead, we should do X, Y, Z. And you might have to compromise. And the same applies in web design. We know what we're doing and we have a very clear focus, which is why we don't really employ out to freelancers. We like to do things a certain way. But if I was running an agency where we passed work over to others, I know I can have good, meaningful conversations with them. But if I knew nothing about web design, I would say to them, right, here's what the client wants. Can we do it? And here's where the freelancer, rather than them saying, yeah, we can do it, but actually we can't, I want them to be really honest and turn around and say to me, we can do these 3 things, but these 2, really, really difficult unless we employ a coder or do something special. Now, this conversation, web design agencies and freelancers, they kind of go hand in hand. But I'd always say start as a freelancer and then scale up to become a web design agency once you know you've got that ability, that skill set, and you can handle clients. Because once you become an agency, and say you've employed 6 freelancers who are going to work for you, and you've got work coming in, you've got 6 clients, you've got loads of jobs now fighting for attention. Can you handle that? And I bet you can. I hope this gives you some food for thought. I hope you keep listening, keep watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.